Hi everybody, Al Ruechel here with Superintendent Michael Grego, and we are talking about things that you need to know about in the school district, things that are good, bad, indifferent, as we say, but always great information right here. All right, Dr. Grego, good to see you this morning.
Great to see you too, Al.
Okay, let's get right to it. Campbell Park Elementary School, you've got some new information for us.
Yeah, this last week has been a trying week, and I know Christine Hoffman was very apologetic in terms of her statement that she made, and we removed her. We're doing a third-party investigation on the intent and things that were said and done for the protection of the students there. School's going well. The community, we've listened to the community. We've invited them in to have a discussion with the current acting principal, but we also know that we need to move on. And so this evening I'm making a recommendation to our school board that Kathleen Young Parker, current principal at Cypress Woods, I very much appreciate our discussion that I had with her and her desire to lead at Campbell Park. So that'll be a recommendation pending school board approval next Tuesday. And I think this will help us kind of move on and certainly heal some of those things and help us teach everyone, and not only educators, but throughout the community, how important words are and how careful we need to be so how people interpret our words and what the intent of those words are.
And I'm going to stretch this out a little bit by saying that I think that when I looked at the memo and I couldn't tell what it meant, and a lot of people couldn't, but the impression was given, whether it's right or wrong, that somehow they're going to make a class that's all white or all black. Well, in that school, you couldn't do that if you wanted to.
Yeah, unfortunately the impression was wrong, and the words were wrong. And I think that's Ms. Hoffman owned up to that and certainly apologized, and I very much respect and appreciate that. So, but that was not the intent, and I'm assured of that. But I think it's fair to her to have that due process and to let's listen to her and various sides of the story for the sake of the community. So,
and I'd heard some teachers say that what they thought the intent was that whether you have black, white, Asian, whatever, it's maybe best for the kids that you have at least two in that class, because it could have been a situation if you had to spread, what is it, 40 kids out of how many in that school?
Yeah, there's a little under, right around 700 students in that school. And look, the principals and assistant principals constantly try to pair students with friends so they're comforted in classes. Sure. I mean, one of the examples I've given is that when we really push some of our underrepresented students, no matter what the background of those students are, into advanced placement classes. And if we have 2 or 3 and we try to pair them with their friends so that there's a level of comfort. Sure. There's a relationship inside of that classroom. And so that's something that all of our principals and leaders try to do to students, because we all win when students are held to that standard and they're comforted in that classroom.
And one other question to this, because this is a question that I had, is there any kind of a federal mandate that, I mean, you do have to keep track of African American students and white students and these other genders for reporting purposes, to know that you're following guidelines that were established by the federal court order years ago, and also to make sure that there is diversity in all these classes?
Well, we always strive for diversity. I mean, it's part of a heartbeat of our magnet program, and our district is to diversify our schools. It's healthier with diversity. So again, we're looking forward to truly Kathleen Parker to not only start meeting with the teachers and meeting with the community and starting that process to build a successful end of this year, both at Cypress Woods, which is her school that she's currently, and she'll finish out there, by the way. She'll finish out, and she's had a terrific run there. She's really stretched Cypress Woods. I'm very proud of her leadership, and she used to be, in fact, not many people know this, the principal at Lakewood Elementary School years ago.
Okay.
And she lives in the St. Petersburg community.
So in the meantime, who's the principal? The assistant principal now?
Assistant principal.
Through the end of the year.
It will be the acting, and we also brought some retired principals back. So we're in good hands, Al. You know, the students and the teachers are working there. Ms. Wright, the area superintendent, is monitoring that school on a daily basis. In fact, she's down this morning having a discussion with the faculty and announcing this very same thing. How
are these supposed low-performing schools, how are they doing right now? I mean, we're not quite to the end of the school year, and I know that your folks have been keeping a close eye on that.
Yeah, we have about 2 to 3 more weeks of testing, actually, and so we're right in the middle of it, but we're doing really well. I'm very, very proud of that, and I think one of the things that we need to remind ourselves on in terms of how well we are doing, let's not only celebrate but the successes we've had, but let's continue to strive. I mean, somehow people need to start to understand the tremendous work that we've done in our district. If you look at Dunedin went from an F to a C, Bel Air a D to a B, Maximo went from an F to a C. So we're down to 2 Fs and 9 Ds, and we feel like this is going to be a banner year to be the first large school district in the state of Florida with no Fs, and we'll try it. I mean, the work is being done.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how proud I am of the work of our teachers and administrators. They're striving to truly raise that bar to be the first school district with only A, Bs, and Cs.
Wow.
And we're going to do it. And you know what? As long as there's a will and the continued push with that, we need our community's help. We need our faith-based leaders' help. We need all elected officials' help. We need to. Education is everyone's business, Al,
right.
and this is a great opportunity for us to learn from mistakes and strengthen this community.
Yeah, no, we just had last week celebrating all the volunteers that had put in, get this, 26,000 hours. And folks, if you're watching this right now, you know, all of these schools, not just the ones that were called low performing, but everybody needs parental involvement, grandparental involvement, volunteer, read to the kids, just get involved, right?
That's a level playing field. All schools need volunteers. I don't care where they're at or what a grade is, but they need help. Teachers, principals, and let me say congratulations to you, because it was announced the hundreds of hours that you volunteer, very quietly, by the way, in our school system. So thank you for what you do, and thanks for emceeing the volunteer. Yeah. And thanks to Achieva Credit Union for sponsoring.
Absolutely.
33 years they've sponsored.
Yeah.
That's persistence. And
my bill is in the mail, by the way. I'm just kidding. Hey, now we move from resolving a conflict now to resolving another conflict. The legislature, what are they going to do for the schools this year? And as we speak, we're not quite certain yet.
Yeah, we're not quite certain, but I have to say to you, not to bring bad news to this segment or this show, but right now with the House budget, it appears like if things run through, that Pinellas County will actually walk away from this session with less money than we had last year.
Really?
Yes, but about $100,000 in the House run. Is that the budget is only funding districts with increased enrollment. We're fairly, as you know, a flat district. And so the special categoricals that are being used and all of this, when at the end of the day, very disappointing financial year with the state of about $100,000 fewer dollars. And this is a time period, Al, in my opinion, that the economic forecast was up, travel and tourism is up, the economy is moving in the right direction, and yet our spending in public education is at the same or lower levels in 2007-8, which is 10 years ago. And
really? It's that much?
I think the Florida public needs to understand where we're at, whether you talk about the K through 12 system, even the VPK I looked at in 2006 and 7, it was about $2,600 a student. Right now it's barely over $2,000 a student. So we're constantly being asked to do more with less, and all of these other healthcare, diesel fuel, electricity, all of these other utilities and all these other factors continue to go up. So not the greatest news when it comes to the budget. We are still working the testing bill. That discussion is happening today, yesterday and today. So that might be a glimmer of hope there. But
so you're telling me also that if we didn't happen to have this voter initiative, which again, voters, thank you for approving,
absolutely,
we would even be in worse shape.
Yes, we'd be in horrible shape when it comes to teacher salaries. Our teachers deserve the respect and the ability to provide them a raise, and that's going to be extremely difficult this year with a 6-7% increase in health care cost, and that's not something we're controlling, as you well know.
Well, I know,
mean,
right,
healthcare costs is coming from the healthcare industry. So it's going to be a trying year. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I'm a realist, and it is what it is when it comes to that budget. But that's where Pinellas County stands.
Numbers don't lie, and you have to do what you got. A couple of other good notes I want to talk about this: the disability students, because oftentimes we know the school district gives them a lot of credit for the things that they do, but they're also receiving some state and national recognition. You want to talk about some of these, if you would?
Well, Jeremy Kaser, a freshman at Largo High School, the Yes I Can Awards is something the Center the Council for Exceptional Students Education, and we have a local CEC, and Jeremy won at the state level, and just a tremendous honor. And yes, he was recognized in Boston, in fact, and so the Yes I Can program really honors students with disabilities on tremendous accomplishments that they have. Also, students from Morgan Fitzgerald, Drew Horniak and Ronald Brooks and Tanya Kim traveled to Rochester Institute of Technology for the National Deaf and Hard of Hearing Math Competition. So real specialized competitions for students with disabilities, and the students finished 14th out of 35 teams from across the nation in Canada, and Drew Horniak ranked 17th out of 136 students. So
that's great.
Congratulations, and I appreciate you bringing those students up, because a lot of times they're not in the forefront.
Yeah, and they're great kids too.
Great
let me
kids.
tell you, no, somebody else. And you know, just so you get this, folks, you know, I get these sheets. Now they don't say, "Al, you got to do all this kind of stuff," but it is unfortunate that we don't have enough time, because we have so many good things that are going on in the school district, and of course we have to spend time when things that are not always so positive to talk about. But I just want you to know that there are great things happening. So we've already got end of the year celebrations. Are we getting close to that? Oh, I guess we are. It's already May. What am I talking about?
2 weeks graduations.
Oh
and,
gosh,
yeah.
Already.
Yeah, it's a tremendous year. We've had, I want to put a plug in for our Pinellas County academic team, who last weekend in Orlando competed against, it's the Commissioner's academic team. So we sent our brightest, and we won first place in the state of Florida. And so congratulations to the team of the academic team in Division I state champions. It was held at the Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. $500 scholarship, and $1,000 went to the top student, which we also had from Palm Harbor University High School. So there are a lot of celebrations. The National Merit semifinalists, Hispanics finalists, we celebrated the turnaround student, where they've taken their life and they've turned it around. Maybe they were on a downward trajectory, and now they're getting A's and B's, and they're succeeding. The arts appreciation that you were at was honoring our principals, and what a tremendous honor. And
they sang an aria in German, which was I actually understood it, which is that's one language I know a little bit about, and it was just wonderful. And we talked about that a number of years ago. You don't remember this, but we almost lost the string program completely when we had that budget crisis that hit the school district back in the early 2000s. But man, those people, and Michael Francis, who was the director of the Florida Symphony, was tremendous, and that young girl that sang that solo, it's just like, hey, Disney, you need to scoop her up, because she was absolutely fabulous. If people need to know graduation information, because sometimes parents get confused, you're supposed to know where you're supposed to go, but not always.
Yes, hopefully the students do. They usually know the date, the time, and the location, but just in case, on our website, they're all listed. And I also want to do a shout out to our communications department, because they're running special interest stories on some of our graduates, and they're really heartwarming. You should check those out, and the public should check those out. And students that are graduating in each and every high school, all that information's on our website. Certainly I want to say thank you to Tropicana Field for hosting us there. The majority of our graduations are at Tropicana Field. Thank you to the City of Clearwater for Clearwater, and Tarpon Springs, and Ruth Eckerd for Dunedin.
Oh yeah, all these wonderful
thank
places.
you to the community. This is a time to celebrate the students of Pinellas County. Congratulations to all of our graduates.
Right, if we just arrange for some rain to come, but not during the graduations. Dr. Greg, always good talking to you.
Always good talking to you.
Lots of good stuff. And that's what we've got for right now. We're back with more right after we take a short break.